welcome to Fish on Fridays. I'm McCauley, and today I want to talk about a saint that the Catholic Church remembers every January 24th. I'm talking about Saint Francis de Sales. Now, Francis was born in France in 1567. This is just a few decades after the start of the Protestant Reformation. And in his area of Europe, France and Switzerland, there's a growing number of people aligning themselves with the Calvinist tradition, which is, again, part of that Protestant Reformation. Among other things, Calvinism taught that we are predestined either to go to heaven or to hell. We're either part of the elect going to heaven or we're part of the damned that are going to hell. And this was a tough thing for Francis. He didn't know what he believed. Growing up as a young man, he was very worried about this. This was a troubling thing to him. To hear about this, to know, what is God like? Is my fate predetermined for me, more or less? And he was a very smart young man, and he did study scripture. He did study religion. And one of the things he came to understand in studying scripture, in particular the epistles of John, were the three words that really changed his life. And those words are, God is love. And it made him to realize that, if I follow the will of God in my life, if I do what I'm supposed to do, if I have faith in him, everything's going to take care of itself. I don't have to worry about the whole elect or damned thing. And it really gave him a new insight. And it made him, not only did it bring peace to his heart, it made him a much more peaceable person toward others. And something he became very well known for was the fact that he was so kind in his ministry. So let's back up a little bit and look at his life. Like I said, he was a very smart guy. And in fact, that's one of the hallmarks of his life, was he was incredibly intelligent man. And he studied to be a lawyer, and eventually he wanted to become a priest. And so he was able to kind of marry those two fields together. And he really thought not just about reforming and helping priests and clergy like himself, but also the laity. Now, this is really pretty revolutionary in the 16th century, because 17th century, he dies in the early 1600s. It's really revolutionary at that time period because there was a sense of clericalism, I think, during that time. So to really give the laity something to help themselves, to bring them up to snuff, if you will, the spiritual sense, is really important. He was very devout. He was an incredibly pious man, very, very faith-filled. In fact, one of the things, probably the thing he's best known for writing, is called Introduction to the Devout Life. And again, what this does is it appeals to both the clergy and to the laity. I'm going to read a line, it's often attributed to him as quote from this book. It's fascinating to think about, so I'm going to look off screen, but it really encapsulates, I think, the mission and the ministry of Francis de Sales. And here's the quote. It's a heresy, in other words, a false teaching. It's a heresy to say devotion is incompatible with the life of the soldier, a tradesman, a prince, or a married woman. So think about what he's saying there in the 16th century. He's saying holiness, spirituality, that's for everybody. It's not just for a select few, those people who are trained in theology. It's for the soldier. It's for the married woman. It's for all people. In all times, in all places. Our devotion is really important. It's not just, the relationship we have with God is not just something that the clergy has. It's something that all of us have by virtue of our baptism. So again, he's a smart man. He's very devout, and he really wanted other people to be devout as well. The third thing I would say about him is, based on his reading and understanding of John's epistle, that God is love, it made him it really made him, give him a sense of peace. It gave him a sense of peace that made him what a lot of people called, he was a gentleman's bishop. He was just a kind person that people were drawn to his affable nature, his kindness, the caring that he had. Because he wrote a lot, and because what he wrote was so impactful, he is recognized today as one of 37 men and women, 37 Catholic saints who are doctors of the church, meaning that their teachings are the preeminent teachings of the faith. They're universally understood and acceptable. So he was a real powerhouse in that regard. Oftentimes you'll see him, in paintings, in icons, you'll see him holding a book. Usually it refers to the Introduction to the Devout Life, or oftentimes a quill, because he was a writer. In fact, he is recognized today also as the patron of the Catholic press. So if there's something I'd like you to take away from this brief story about Francis de Sales, it's going back to what I said toward the beginning. And that is, the thing that really moved him were those words from Scripture, that God is love. To always remember that God is love. if we start with that premise, if that's our foundation, if that's our bedrock, that there's nothing we can do that's going to make God push us away. We are always the recipients of God's love, and that should make us more eager to be reconciled with him. That should be more eager to want to live out our gifts in our own little corner of the world. Again, this is not just for the clergy. It's not just for those saints or whatever. As he said, it's for the soldier, it's for the tradesman, it's for the prince, it's for the married ones, for everybody. We all have that responsibility to live out that truth, that God is love. And how do we reflect that to others in our little corner of the kingdom? So anyway, Francis de Sales, wonderful, wonderful man. There's always a lot more I could talk about with these saints. So I hope this just, it's kind of scratching the surface, but maybe be inspired to read a little bit more about him. Maybe you'd want to read Introduction to the Devout Life. It's a fantastic book to read. Anyway, thank you again for watching. We're so grateful that you tune in every Friday for Fish on Fridays. I hope you will continue to do so. We'd love it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel or if you'd follow us on Facebook. But until next time, please be good to each other and God bless.